Well guys, what you may see here is the Bogatyr village. I've told you about it yesterday that Ukraine was really successful in repelling Russians from the settlement. Well, Russians claim that for the last night they retook some of the positions and at least half of the village is in a gray zone. And you know, all of that clarification which we have doesn't show us the presence of the Russian soldiers, even though we have those flag symbols on the map. The reality is quite different. We have this image, the similar one that I showed you yesterday, and the Ukrainian flag is out there in Bogatyr. And that footage is genuine. I have the full video published on my Telegram channel. You may check it out with my link below. So Bogatyr village still remains under Ukrainian control, even though the part of the settlement is indeed in the gray zone. Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go. Actually I wanted to carry out the stream today, but after all I decided to make just the usual update video, and I think after all it is better. That's why let's proceed with latest news, and we have the comment from the Michael sent us read the analytic who actually publishes those maps based on the real evidence and information. So about this village of Bogatyr, he says that yesterday Russians returned the southern part with the usual flag waving technique, and some of those Russian flags were just launched by drones. In any case, the area returns to gray, indicating ongoing fighting. It means one thing, that Russia is unable to establish its control over the settlement, but for Ukraine it is difficult actually to keep Bogatyr under control because it is a logistics nightmare to deliver some of the goods there. If we open the detailed map here, you can see that there is just a single road for supplies, and Russians, well, they could hit this bridge out there. I'm not sure whether it's functioning or not. There are secondary roads, like for example this one across the river, but those are just the filled roads. So they're usable now because of the good weather, but they're not reliable, and everything of that is happening very close to the front lines, and Russians also use FPV drones. That is why I have the report from our commanders in a place that situation with the logistics indeed is not good, but nevertheless Ukraine tries to regain positions.
Площади мотоциклы Ирбис ДТР-250, военнослужащие вооруженных сил России.
What? I don't know how to comment that actually, but that's the Russian Nano technology of the air defense system. It is called Prometheus or Prometheus. Well, actually as an evac transport it could work, but as this one, Armata, is that you? And look at the face of this Russian officer. Oh, we understand where our money are going, and those... What the hell is that? Even they are surprised. This guy is shocked as well. What the hell is happening in Russia? They designed, how can you call those? A very slow, unarmored robot vehicles to be used as some sort of the air defense, which is crazy. In a way, those ground drones could be deployed out there, as I told you, evac transport. But in many of the cases, the wounded personnel need some sort of the assistance to get to the evac transport. Here, I guess it's impossible to assist without the side help, and there is not enough place for 2 soldiers, just for 1. The Russian army shows those robots on parades, but at the same time they're sending donkeys on actual front lines. And just imagine how much money some of the officers got developing this kind of the interesting project. The Russian military corruption really needs more of those projects. Well, they also show this fully automatic system, but it's the anti-tank one. However, I have some of the concerns in precision, but here instead of developing some sort of the remote controlled unit, they put just a guy with the Soviet-made Strela system. Definitely the second army in the world. And here I want to share my thanks to the Patreon supporters and the members of the channel. Guys, you are doing absolutely great job supporting and keeping me running, so thank you so much for that. And if you want to support the job that I do here, you may join my Patreon. The link I'll put just in the video description below. And if you do not want to support me financially, it's okay as well. Just press your huge like to this video. Guys, just stay awesome. Alright, here we have some of the unique image which shows the operation of Ukrainian MiG-29 and how it drops some of the French-made bombs. So let's watch it. 4 straight away. And yeah, judging on the Frontlines updates, I see more and more aviation in use by Ukrainian side right on the front lines and sometimes even on the Russian territory, for example, in Kursk Oblast or Belgorod. Meanwhile, Russian aviation continued to bomb themselves. This is the fuel tank that detached itself somehow from the Russian MiG-29 jet, one of those. Yeah, this is the Russian elite strategy formation. They were flying somewhere in Chelyabinsk, and yeah, somehow the fuel tank detached, and as you see, it's flying down straight to the ground. Yeah, what can I tell is just the usual recklessness of the Russian army, and by the way, they continue to drop not just the fuel tanks, but aviation bombs on Russian territory. There was the report a couple of days ago that a Russian aviation gliding bomb detached and actually hit some of the infrastructure of one of the villages in Belgorod. Oh, the Russian TV propaganda lost one more so-called journalist in Ukraine. His name was Alexei Semenov, call sign Sakhalin. As usual, they wear camouflage uniforms, so for Ukraine, it is hard to define where's the Russian journalist and where's the Russian soldier. Especially, for the drone operator, because Russia applies some of the interferences, sometimes you see absolutely nothing and hit everything moving out there on the front lines. Well, the moving guy this time was this Russian journalist, again so-called. There is this saying also in the Russian culture, by the way, that returning back to your home, if you forget something, well, it might bring you some of the bad luck. So at least look at the mirror, then you're home for the second time. That is how you might reset that bad luck and everything will be normal. Well, I personally have never believed into that superstition, but here on the video we see the evidence that after all, it is working, at least on Russian army. Just a brief explanation. This is the Russian base and they took the boat from it. They wanted to put it on the water and yeah, partially they were successful, at least with the first task. Let's watch it. So they're taking the boat to the river, or maybe it's lake, could be a river, I guess more, and they're coming back. Coming back was a very bad idea. They should have taken everything with them at once, because the video comes from Ukrainian Air Force, and let's watch this Russian military base. Yeah, there was the direct gliding bomb strike on that facility. Do you think that those Russian soldiers are okay? Well, I guess they could be hurt a little. Yeah, Russian army continued to re-recruit disabled and wounded personnel back to the front lines. Even the guys filming this Russian soldier who doesn't even have crutches to move out there. Well, guess it is outstandingly bad for Russia in general, and it has never been like that. Even in the Soviet army during the Second World War, the attitude towards the own wounded personnel was okay, but here it's just the value of the Russian life is below zero. Right, yesterday I've told you about this Russian fighter airplane, which they want to use as the drone destroyer. Basically, it's the modified version of Yakovlev 52. They call it Yakovlev 52B2. They mounted the big radar to find out where the drones are and also mounted some sort of the shotgun. Well, I guess they also might use the arm pilot on the back. Could it be effective? Well, Ukraine shows that it could. Alright, according to Ukrainian military intelligence, Russia is planning to make a test launch of their Yars intercontinental ballistic missile. The rocket which might be used is called RC-24 and capable to fly for around 10,000 kilometers, easily reaching the territory of the United States. While Ukraine warns our allies that idea for Russia is to spread some of the fear of their nuclear weaponry ahead of the personal conversation between Putin and Trump, which could be conducted tomorrow. Well, at least it is planned for tomorrow. Alright guys, breaking news, we have the first exit polls coming from Romanian presidential elections, and what can I say, George Simon, or Simeon is better to say, is not getting enough percentage of the votes. awesome. He's just openly pro-Russian candidate, so we see the consolidation of the Romanian society not to elect him. There were many of the candidates in the first round of elections, but voters of those decided to support Dan. They decided to support Dan, who is the mayor of the city of Bucharest. So this guy is pro-Western, pro-Ukrainian oriented, and this guy is openly pro-Russian. Even though he told that he condemns the Russian attack on Ukraine, but he supports the idea not to support Ukraine any longer. And since Romania is our close ally, our neighbor, and Ukraine gets lots of the weaponry directly from Romania, and Romania is also used as the transit country to support Ukraine, well, those elections are very important for Ukraine after all. And yeah, we don't need one more Orban or Fico in Europe, so luckily here, at least exit polls tell that Dan is a winner. Dan. About his program, well, I actually don't care that much, I didn't dive into it, but the main idea is not to let the Russian puppets to rule European Union countries. And just yesterday I found this picture on Twitter and I thought that it's hilarious. That's the decision Romanians have to make now. Everyone gets a puppy or diarrhea forever. And it's not far from truth actually. And Simeon has declared victory in election already, despite previously released exit poll data. He's total idiot, even worse than Trump. Yeah, he may proclaim wherever he wants to proclaim. He will be a loser, I predict it. Wow, kind of the big thing happened today in the Baltic Sea. For the first time, Russia detained a commercial tanker, a vessel that was coming from the Simae port of Estonia. Yes, Silamäe, that's the name of the port. According to Estonian Foreign Ministry, indeed, the tanker was detained by the Russian Navy. The tanker's name is Green Admire and it was operating under Liberian flag. The planned destination for the tanker was the Rotterdam port of Netherlands. Well, again, it's one more Russian provocation in the Baltic Sea. Before they even used some of the fighter jets entering Estonian airspace, and now they detain commercial vessels. In this case, legit vessels, unlike Russian Shadow Fleet, which operates in most of the cases even without any sort of the insurance. Right, Zelensky and many other officials attended today the inauguration of a new Pope Leo. I told it already and I'll tell it again. Pope Leo opens new opportunities for the democratic world and for Ukraine. So far, he's doing everything right. And Zelensky also met there with Vance. He met with the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance. And as you see, they're way more cheerful and they're laughing all together with Ruzzia, by the way. Ruzzia is also there. Compared to the previous meeting in the Oval Office, probably you remember that. Why are you not thanking us? Why are you not wearing the suit? So here, at least on this photo, it was more or less cheerful. And yeah, Ukraine does absolutely everything to keep the military support from the United States because it is crucial actually. As expected, Russia reinforced their strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure. Those are the drones. 88 of the drones were shot down by Ukrainian air defense for the last night, but many drones made it to the targets. Again, Putin shows that he wants to continue the war. Alright guys, let's review the front lines, and we have just two of the areas where Russia is very active nowadays. The first one is over here, not far away from Toretsk actually, plus they want to move in Zaporizhia direction. So about this bridgehead, definitely there was the change. It was yesterday, it is today. The expansion is visible, it is clear, and if we check like 1 month ago it was like that, and today it is like that. So Russia takes the ground in this area. They're going forward during the summer or spring campaign. There was the gap in their attacks around 1 month ago, then Ukraine was really successful in demolishing Russian positions, but now they send more and more reinforcements. But still, it is just the tactical advantage of the Russian army. For sure they will be stopped. Then it depends on Ukrainian military support. We have, by the way, support from Denmark. They announced that they will send more F-16s, for example, to Ukraine. They will also expand the general support of Ukrainian army by at least 500 million euros. That's the great help for Ukraine. And yeah, other countries like Germany, like Italy, UK, and so on, they help Ukraine a lot. Here let's go to Zaporizhia direction, not far away from the Dnipro river. So it was yesterday and it is today. Again, yesterday, Today, Russia is very close to Lobkovo village. And let's check out this direction 1 month ago. It was like that, so not a huge change, I would say. Yeah, as for the front lines, basically that's it. More detailed information I will publish on my Rumble probably, because I need to show you the images, like the real drone images from the front lines, but here I cannot do it. Yeah guys, we also have some of the Trump news, but honestly I'm tired of Trump, speaking about him in every of the video. I'll just wait till tomorrow. Then there is the planned conversation between Trump and Putin, plus he promised to speak with Zelensky, so as the outcome of that very important conversation, very important, it will not solve anything, but as the outcome, I'm gonna tell something about Trump. In this video, let's just take the rest from this incompetent leader of the United States. And guys, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot, and as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.